It's kind of hard to even remember a time before these things existed, right? In just a couple of years, Apple's AirPods went from this curiosity to a total cultural icon. They completely changed the game for how we listen to music, how we take calls, and how we talk to our devices. They are, simply, everywhere. So today, we're going to break down Apple's latest take on this iconic product, the third generation AirPods. And when I say everywhere, I am not kidding. To date, Apple has sold well over 100 million pairs of these things. To put that in perspective, that's almost enough for 1 out of every 3 people in the entire United States to have a pair. It's an absolutely mind-boggling number, and it represents total dominance in the personal audio space. This isn't just a successful product, it's a straight-up phenomenon. So that leads to a really big question, doesn't it? When you've already captured lightning in a bottle and you're on top of the world, what do you do next? How do you possibly improve on something that millions and millions of people already love and use literally every single day? Well, Apple thinks it has the answer with its next generation. And from everything we're seeing, let me tell you, this is not just some minor tweak. They're framing this as a really significant leap forward in design and sound and in the whole experience of using them. So say hello to the third generation AirPods. The best way to think about them is as the perfect sweet spot. Apple basically took some of the best, most loved features from their high-end AirPods Pro, mashed them up with a brand new design, and created this new option that fits right between the classic model and the super premium Pro. All right, so let's get into it. What's actually new here? We'll start with the most obvious change, the look and feel, because we're talking a complete redesign from the ground up, and it's about way more than just looking good. Okay, so right off the bat, you can see this new design takes a lot of cues from the AirPods Pro. The stems, they're way shorter now, which gives them a much cleaner, more modern look. The fit itself is now contoured, so it's designed to sit in your ear at just the right angle, which is not only more comfortable, but also helps deliver the sound better. And say goodbye to the old tab controls. They've been replaced with that much more precise force sensor from the Pro, so you just squeeze to play, pause, and skip. But hey, the cool stuff isn't just on the outside. Inside, they've got a new skin detect sensor, which is actually pretty smart. It can tell the difference between your ear and, say, your pocket, so your music pauses way more reliably when you take them out. They're also finally IPX4 rated, which means they're sweat and water resistant. So yeah, you can finally take them to the gym without worrying. And in a classic Apple move, the case itself now snaps right onto MagSafe chargers, which makes wireless charging super easy. Okay, and now for the one member everyone cares about when it comes to wireless earbuds, battery life. 6 hours. That is the new listening time on a single charge. It's a full hour longer than the last generation. Now, that might not sound like a huge deal, but that 1 extra hour makes all the difference on a long flight or when you're in back-to-back meetings all day. It's a really nice jump. And that's just on a single charge. When you factor in the juice you get from the case, you are looking at a massive 30 hours of total listening time. For most of us, that means you could go days, maybe even a whole week, without ever having to plug them in. But look, as cool as the new design and the better battery life are, the real magic, the real game changer here is the sound. Apple brought over some of its most advanced audio tech to this model, and it turns them into something way more than just a pair of earbuds. The main event here is spatial audio with dynamic head tracking. So what is it? Well, instead of just having stereo sound, left channel, right channel, this tech basically builds a 3D movie theater inside your ears. The sound feels like it's coming from all around you, from the front, from the sides, even from above. It creates this truly immersive feeling that, until now, you could only get with the AirPods Pro. So how in the world does this actually work? It sounds like magic, but it's just really, really clever tech. First, there are tiny gyroscopes and accelerometers inside the AirPods that are constantly tracking the exact motion of your head. Then, the sound field is mapped to whatever device you're using, like your iPhone or iPad. But here's the kicker. The sound stays anchored to the device. So if you're watching a movie on your phone and you turn your head to the left, the voices still sound like they're coming from the screen. It is wild when you experience it. And that's not all. They also packed in something called adaptive EQ. Basically, there's a tiny microphone on the inside of the earbud that listens to the sound exactly the way you're hearing it. It then adjusts the low and mid-range frequencies in real time to perfectly match the unique shape of your ear. The end result? The music just sounds richer, fuller, and more detailed all the time. Okay, so a slick new design and incredible sound. That's awesome for us, the users. But what does this really mean for the bigger picture, for the rest of the tech world? Because believe me, this is a huge strategic move by Apple. To really get why this is such a big deal, you just have to look at the numbers. Apple is already the king of this market, and it's not even close. They have this massive, commanding lead over everyone else. So a product like this isn't just about selling a few more units, it's about cementing that lead and pulling even farther ahead of the competition. And from a strategy point of view, these things are positioned perfectly. They create this perfect middle tier. For anyone who wanted something more than the basic AirPods but didn't want to fork over the cash for the Pro model, this is now their go-to. It makes a premium feature like spatial audio accessible to way more people. And that, right there, sends a huge shockwave through the entire industry. As one analyst put it, this move basically forces every other company to try and match these pro-level features, but at a lower price. By bringing something like spatial audio down from its most expensive model, Apple just raised the bar for what we should expect from a standard pair of earbuds. The game has changed. So, let's zoom out. We've talked design, we've talked tech, we've talked market strategy. What does it all mean? What's the big takeaway here? And what does it tell us about where things are headed? All right, let's just boil it down to the 4 key things you need to remember. First, you're getting a much more refined, comfortable, pro-style design. Second, you're getting that incredible 3D sound experience thanks to spatial audio. Third, the battery life is finally at that all-day level we've all been waiting for. And fourth, this whole thing is a super smart, strategic move by Apple to lock down their control of the audio market. And all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about. You see, products like these, they're not just for listening to music anymore, are they? They're for talking to Siri, for taking calls, for future augmented reality experiences. So as our audio gets more intelligent, more immersive, and more personal, you have to wonder, are we moving toward a future where our ears become our main interface with the digital world? A future where what we hear is just as important as what we see? A future where our ears are the new screen,